Okay. Let's see if we can find them. What's up, Kevin?
How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you? You feeling all right?
Feeling great.
Yeah, I understand you got a lot of family watching tonight. In fact, we've already got someone chiming in here. Who's this? Raylene, thanks for the comment. Hey, Kevin, we're proud of you. So,
It's
are you,
one of my cousins.
oh yeah? So are you ready to go into the flashback?
You betcha.
Get it. Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up?
Uh, everything growing up was, you know, typical picture perfect life. Great family. Everything's great and life's good. Except I had some of my own challenges with grades and whatnot. Big deal was battling with some eczema growing up, but I enjoyed my sports and hanging out with friends and looking up to my brother and sister and just living the dream.
So, how were your parents? Tell us a little bit about your parents.
Oh,
What
mom
did
and
your
dad
dad do?
were. Dad was a police officer for 27 years, I think, um, and and always looked up to him. Even to this day, I still wish I could become a police officer, but it just didn't work out. Didn't work out for me that way based on activities of the past. So um, and mom was always there and uh, dragging me around to various events and helping me deal with my own problems that caused me the most difficulties growing up. So, but but yeah, mom and dad were always there looking out for me and yeah, just doing what moms and dads do.
So were you you played soccer? Were you a good team player?
Oh yeah, I loved my sports even to this day. Yeah, it was uh, got along with everybody great, and most of my friends played soccer, um, and we just all played soccer when we weren't playing soccer, and just team sports were a lot of my life.
How was school? How did you build relationships with your classmates and stuff? How did that go?
I always kind of turned to humor for building relationships, and always found myself maybe a little bit self depreciative, a little bit maybe as a kind of a coping mechanism for my own problems that I did have. But grades weren't too good. My attention wasn't always there, and I always got to that point where it was just like, oh, not a big deal if I don't hand this assignment in, or
Mhm.
just school was never really a big thing for me, except for phys ed and art were ones I was good at.
So your schooling never, your poor grades, they never really had a negative effect on your mental health or the way you thought of yourself.
I always knew it was a struggle, but I never really got down on myself too bad about it. Um, my mom and dad were always on me to, you got to do better, and like common sense type stuff, like, yeah, you should probably hand these assignments in and probably get this work done. But it was never really a concern for me.
So you said you excelled in art. What kind of art did you do?
Um, I always enjoyed art for painting, and when I was younger, I placed in an art show, and um, I was always doing things with my hands. Um, you know, what pretty much anything I could get my hands on, even to this day. I still love my hobbies.
Yeah, yeah, you've got quite the skills with your 3D printer, hey?
Yeah,
Where's the Hulk? You had the
somewhere here.
Hulk there a minute ago. You still got him?
Uh, it's here somewhere. Let's see.
So these are the things that you can create. You create them in CAD or something?
Oh,
And
these ones I just download the model and then print them, but
huh,
I do design some of my own stuff. I don't
that's
have
amazing.
anything here though. Oh, here's a camera mount for you that I'm doing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's going to be some custom Kevin stuff in the Hard Knox cockpit, that's for sure. Looking forward to that. So
But yeah,
anyways, so how old were you the first time you got drunk? Like what were the circumstances around that?
um, probably just typical. I don't know, around grade 11, high school, hanging out with some friends, doing doing the typical high school high school activities. Go out, party, get drunk.
Mhm. And where did you get the booze?
Uh, Probably randoms pulling it for us, or friends, older sisters, brothers,
Hmm.
whoever. There was always somebody that could find that for us.
Yeah. So I understand you had asthma and eczema uh, growing up pretty bad as well. How did that affect your life?
That's my that's my weak point. Asthma not so much, but eczema was debilitating for me. Certain days where I wouldn't be able to stand up straight, or have to get into a bathtub with my socks on to get my socks off and all that kind of stuff. Even my grandma, I believe it was at the lake one year, chased me around wanting to put Crisco on me so I would stop scratching,
Did that work?
like anything. Ugh, probably not. But
um,
everybody wanted to try something at some point in time, all the way up to ancient Chinese remedies of bugs and grass that had to get boiled and then strained and drink the juice, and
oh,
whatever, anything that was possible,
yeah,
because I suffered.
it must have been hard for your family to see that, let alone going through it yourself. Did you ever
Oh
like
man,
go ahead?
yeah, I know it was hard for my family.
Did you ever like when you got older and you started using substances and drinking and stuff, did you ever use that to kill the pain from the eczema?
I would imagine there was a good portion of it, yeah. Getting addicted to feeling good, because it was constant, like
So
30. Oh, I don't know. It's been up until a year and a half ago that it's been a problem for me.
so so it's you've gotten some relief from it now.
Yeah, I was able I did my own research and found a new biological medication that is injections, that it's extremely expensive. Fortunately, my benefits cover it, but I can't imagine somebody dealing with it having to pay, I don't know, it's like $3,000 a month. But it
So
is the cure.
wow, well, I'm glad you found something, man.
Yeah.
So when you were in your teenage years, what other substances were you using?
Smoking pot here and there, and the occasional mushrooms, or it didn't really stray out of that too often, but or often at all, I guess. But yeah, it was just the regular recreational use of the typical organic substances.
Hmm. And so I understand you found the rave scene. How did you stumble upon that? And what was that like?
uh,
The first time you walked in there, like were you prepared for what you were about to see, or was it just what was
oh,
that?
I had a friend who uh, his parents owned the concessions at Prairieland, and this would have been in grade 9. And I'd always kind of been appreciated electronic music, and uh, he we were at some we were just at the concession because his family owned it, so we were just hanging out in there. And then he's like, well, let's go over to this other event that's going on, because you could hear the music from there. And so we walked over there, and there was all these outrageously dressed people and lights, and
And you were
we
like, oh
couldn't believe
yeah.
it. Well, and we couldn't believe it because everybody kept coming up asking if we had water, and we just, why does everybody want water? Like, not knowing that the side effect of ecstasy is a compulsive need to drink water.
Yeah.
Well, and these people in these outrageous outfits, and just the most unreal scene. And then later on, uh, I had an opportunity to attend one, and it was at Prairieland again, and it was nothing like I'd ever seen before.
So were you like, I'm home. This is amazing. Where's them candy bracelets at? Like, what was it like for you? Like,
Oh yeah, it
yeah.
was. Well, I think probably a little low key the very first time we went, but it
Yeah.
definitely went uphill from there.
Did you ever
You
get
could
into
ask
the
my mom
wild?
about.
Did you ever get into
I
the
would say you
wild
could ask my
costumes and
mom
stuff?
about the. Oh yeah, you could ask my mom about some of the costumes I wore. Like, it was outrageous to the point where, and even my aunt, if she's listening, she would know I borrowed my cousin's wetsuit for one, not knowing that wetsuits are supposed to keep you warm in cold
Yeah.
water. Well,
And they did.
12, 12 hours at a at a dance party with people and substances, it
Yeah.
was a lot of sweating.
So did you ever like come out of your room all like ready to go and dressed up and like just see like was there like a look of concern in your parents' eyes or like what was that like?
I can imagine. I think my mom was pretty supportive of it. I don't think my dad would have been supportive of some of the outfits I was wearing. A lot of rainbow tights and some really really crazy.
We
Yeah,
didn't
just.
we didn't talk about this before. Had you told me this before, I would have been like, "Well, you got to bring some pictures." Like, I'm
Oh,
sure
I
you.
don't. They don't exist. They
Oh,
do
that's
not
too bad.
exist.
That's sad to me.
No, I think there was a box that had some pictures in it, and that saw the fiery fate a long time ago.
by
Evidence.
by your hand or by your parents' hands?
Oh no, that was all my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I still remember the very first time that I developed a picture, and it was two girls that were, I don't know, doing a line off of a table. And my dad saw this picture, and he's like, "What are these two girls doing? Why are you
they
around people that are doing this?"
they
I'm like,
can't do
"Dad, I
that.
don't know."
That's illegal. They can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, did you when you got to this place, like, did you immediately go seeking drugs, or did it just like come to you? Like, how did that look for you?
No, we would have. Well, I seeked it out, definitely. I don't remember what other people did, but I knew it was an option, and um, I wasn't afraid of the basic experimentation at that point. Being such a veteran, right? I've smoked pot. I can probably do other things.
Uh,
So, and it just, yeah, you never know. I don't even remember what happened. It could have been Tylenol that I paid for all I know.
we got a comment coming in
But
here. We got Roger. Thanks for watching tonight, Roger. It's good to see you, man. Roger says, I went to school with these boys. Good guys making a big difference. Well, we sure weren't back then. Well, we were, but
yeah,
wasn't it?
not a good difference.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so how long was it? Okay, so you start going to the raves, and how often were you going? Did it turn into an every weekend thing right away? Like when you started using, was it like every weekend from that point on, or did it take you a while to get into it?
Well, raves were, I mean, for the most part, could be a fairly pricey night. So it was probably every couple months. I mean, they whenever they were thrown, they were big events. So they weren't too common. It wasn't just a typical club night. These were multi thousands of people, and so it was a big deal for somebody to throw a party like that. So they
Realistic.
weren't every weekend.
Yeah. So when did things start to become a problem for you? I mean, and looking back, like at now, when did things start to become a problem?
Well, I knew like the the feeling that or the effects of the drugs at a rave were fairly substantial, and uh, you could tell like it was a problem when it was the first thing that I would do when I got to a rave was seek out drugs. Um, and if it was an inability to find, there was an underlying feeling of disappointment. Like, how could somebody do this without the drugs? Then that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I remember myself going to raves and losing, you lose your pills, right? So and you always know the people that are like on their hands and knees looking around through the mess that yeah, those guys they lost their dope.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
one of them is probably just thinks you guys are having fun and wants to crawl around on the ground with you. But
Give you a hug.
yeah,
Yeah. So what are
not untrue.
no, no. So then what happened? Things start getting heavy for you. What are some things that started going sideways for you?
Well, eventually the rave scene died off, and by that point, it had the doors had been opened for substances, so uh, it was fair game at that point. So it was, you go over to a friend's place, and you do it recreationally just for the hell of it, or you go to the bar or whatever. And um, I think for me, eventually down the road, after going to computer college and failing to find employment, actually finding employment for a week and then getting fired because it just didn't work out for me. Uh, that that had that had really struck a nerve with me, and I think uh, it had already taken its course because I tampered with some of the harder drugs, speed and whatnot, uh, and then um, we met up with some people that I had met earlier, and they said, "Oh, hey, you want to try this?" And sure, meth it can't be that big a deal. I've tried it once in the past, and I was up for 3 days, but I why not? Let's try it again. And then, uh, I mean, I had friends that obviously would tell me, like close friends, obviously, that would tell me that hey, Kev, this probably isn't a very wise idea for you to be doing stuff like this, because I've got a always had a fairly addictive personality, and um, then a couple of my closest friends moved away, and I guess I didn't I was lacking that common sense kind of protective protective opinion to tell me, hey Kev, this is not a good idea, don't do it. And I was already starting to hang around with people that were into it more than I wanted to be, but it had already taken hold.
So were you living at home during this time?
Yeah, the whole time through my addiction, I was living at home. Yeah, with my mom and dad.
Did they did they did you think that they were catching on, or what did that look like?
Oh yeah, all of them. I know. I'd heard stories. My sister had told me stories where I'd gone over to help her fix her computer, um, and I was working away on her computer and fell asleep while just sitting there. and I knew she had spoken to my mom and dad about it, but uh, both my parents had found either paraphernalia or drugs, and uh, I know my my mom ran up to me one time because I had lost. I knew I had drugs in my pocket, but I had lost them in the house. I thought I had lost them in somewhere else, and mom came running up to me holding this fairly significant bag of meth. Just, what's this? What's this? And of course, typical addict, I lied and said, "Oh, I have absolutely no idea what it was." Snatched it out of her hand and uh, ran to the ran to the bathroom, flushed the toilet, and put it in my pocket. Right,
Huh.
like I won that battle. So
Yeah.
there's no way I'm flushing drugs down the toilet. So,
Yeah.
but and dad cornered me once because he had found a kit in the car that had paraphernalia in it, and uh, yeah, it's scary memories.
So, did you start getting into crime or anything?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was for the in the beginning. It was I was working still, um, and uh, I found ways to supplement my addiction uh, with crime through my employer. Basically, theft and fraud. Um, just easy pickings when you're working on the inside.
Yeah. Did you ever get caught?
Not for that, but eventually um, I got caught a couple times. Once was, I guess, not really drug related crimes, but um, I had been pulled over and was arrested for obstruction by failing to give the proper name. But apparently, uh, this haunts me. But I gave my brother's name when he tried to identify me, and it turned out that the police officer had worked with my brother at one of his previous jobs. So that didn't work out so well for me. And then uh, I'd been a couple close calls. I'd been pulled over and had K9 unit search my car, and uh, they had known who they know who I was because it was a vehicle that was around a neighborhood drug house all the time, um, and I'd been pulled over and searched and whatever. Never thought and nothing to worry about when I got searched at those times. But one time there was a police dog that was really insistent there was something in that car that was in an area that I would have never put anything, but I had let other people drive my car. So then the panic started setting in. Oh God, what's about to happen? But they never found anything. And then the big one that really shook me was I spent uh, 2 days over Easter locked up because I was unknowingly involved in kidnapping and ransom, and was charged with extortion, possession, and accessory to kidnapping, and accessory to ransom, and then of course possession.
Holy cow. Those are some pretty serious charges. Um, what was court like for you? Actually, what was it like?
Uh,
Like, what was it like when you got read those charges?
uh, it was scary because knowing that the police officer that was uh, one of the police officers that had just dragged me out of a parked car and put me face down on the pavement was a coworker of my dad's, And so when she had me in the back of the car, uh, reading me my rights, she just basically kind of gave me advice to just keep my mouth shut, and because she knew who my dad was, and it's just the smart thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you have the right to remain silent, right? So, were you were you more scared of the law or your dad?
Uh, both. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because your dad's kind of both. It's like a double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you guys all thought my dad was intimidating.
I don't think I ever actually met your dad, but he was involved in the drag racing uh, car
Yep.
that the cops had, and I did race that. And if your dad is
Yep.
watching tonight, I beat that car. I have a sticker somewhere that I beat it, and it took me 3 times. And the last time, it was like by 2/10 of a second, but that was the best race of my life because they put the
I
lights
remember
on.
that.
Yeah, they put the lights on and shit, and they're like behind you, and they're chasing you and down the track, and you're allowed to just like stomp on it and go. It's amazing. It was amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Uh, I remember that. That
Yeah.
because I think that was actually one of my dad's best races too.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh, that's
in that
awesome.
car, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, then they leveled up and got a car, and then I got into the scene and stopped racing. But maybe someday we'll line up again. Who knows? Um.
Not maybe.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll give you a car to race. It might be front wheel drive, but you know.
If it's faster than your dad's car, I don't care what it is. um. So, what was court like? Oh, here, hang on a sec, hang
Uh,
on a sec, hang on. Got my I got my dear mother chiming in. She remembers. Beat the heat.
Beat the heat.
Yeah,
There she is. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for chiming in, Mom. Okay, so we got a couple of comments coming in here too. If you guys have just general comments, we are probably going to save them till the end. We have a section called the viewer's voice when we address general comments and questions and things like that. So go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll get to them. But don't think that we're ignoring you because we're certainly not. Okay, so tell us about court. What was court like?
Uh, it was it was fairly low key for me. I was worried that I was going to have to take the stand or whatever, but as it turned out, I was able to with my lawyer. I was able to find some, we'll say, conflicting facts in the police report that was 400 pages long or something like that for the whole situation that I was involved in.
Holy cow.
Basically, it was pertaining to evidence and evidence check-ins and whatnot. And one of the check-ins contained an item that the other two didn't contain. Um, you can kind of see how that felt to me at the time. Maybe a little, maybe a little suspicious, but right then and there, all my charges were dropped. And but I was nervous having to sit outside the courtroom, um, watching my dad pace back and forth, not knowing what was about to take place.
So the whole family was there.
No, I think it was just my dad.
So did it really set in for you? Or
Yeah.
was it just like, or was it, because I know like when I was in the midst of my addiction, like I honestly, like I care deeply about my family now, and they stood with me through a lot of things. But at the time, I didn't care about anything but myself.
Well, that one set in pretty deep because it was what could have happened, but I had a win going out of it, and how do you celebrate a win when you're an
Yeah.
addict?
Yeah. So you left port and off into the sticks you go.
Yep.
Yeah. How did your family handle that? Like you were living at home still at this time, right? So yeah, what were some things that were going on with the family? Were they trying to talk to you or
Um, I think they tried to keep me around home as much as possible, um, without pushing me away. Like you gotta I guess be an enabler to keep people safe in some sense. Um, I know that was a sticking point was
hang
was
on a
that,
sec.
but it's like okay,
Hang on a sec. I'm getting a comment in the chat here. Can you guys hear me? I said
I can
someone's
hear you.
saying you can hear me. Someone's saying in the chat that they can't hear me. Can you hear us? Someone put something in the chat. Hang on a sec. I'm quiet compared to. Okay, well, we might just have to handle that. Um, keep breaking up.
Okay, well, we might just have to handle that.
Okay, hang on a minute
Oh,
here. What can we do here?
I think it's when you're moving away from the mic, Dan.
Oh, okay. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put this closer to my mouth then, and I'm just gonna keep going. Everything looks good on my end. Sorry to interrupt your flow there, Kevin. Um, okay. Sorry. Carry on, Kevin. Sorry about that.
Um, where were we?
We were talking about you left the courtroom and we're off into the sticks again. Oh, how did your family handle that?
Oh yeah, it was just excuse me, it was a constant battle of trying to keep me at home and try to understand where I am because I'd disappear for 2 weeks and they'd have no idea. Um, Basically, I would come home when I needed to eat, um, or if the police would come to where I was because Dad had put out an APB looking for me, or mom would show up because she knew where the house was, and there was one house that I spent the most time at, and I can still remember the moment of horror the very first time somebody went upstairs to answer the door, and he said, "Kev, it's for you." I'm like, "Oh, who is it?" And they're like, "It's your mom." Uh, like the sheer moment of absolute terror going up to the stairs, seeing mom in her work uniform, standing there telling me to get my ass home,
Yeah.
or at least go drop the car off because the car that I was driving was mom and dad's. It wasn't mine, and basically just get home and
Yeah.
and, and just doing whatever she can do to get me under control.
Yeah. So I guess some scary things started happening. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Um, there were some scary moments where I was at this house and uh, I remember the person that owned the house was a member of a person of significance in the in the meth scene, and somebody called him and said, "You owe me money. I'm going to come and come and take your money. I'm going to come get my money back from you." And he basically said, "Okay, I'll send somebody to come get you." And
Yeah.
he had a gang member go and pick him up, brought him to the house, and had him on his knees in the basement. And uh, one of the guys just kind of walked up around behind him, and he didn't even see it coming, and just kicked him in the face while he was on his hands and knees. And he got up, whatever, bleeding face, all this kind of stuff. But then it really got scary when one of the other guys uh, lunged across the basement and to hit him, and hit him, punched him in the face, and instantly the his dog came off the couch and got on top of the guy and started attacking the guy. That was the first moment of scary reality, um, and scary things like walking into the the gutters of Saskatoon and seeing people with needles hanging out of their arms, or walking around in their buildings with steak knives taped to long wooden sticks as they're chasing shadows. And then ultimately the big one was I was at a I was at a house, and a person that I knew from a, a local motorcycle gang was who had thought I was shacking up with his girlfriend while he was in prison, um, which wasn't the case at all. He he knew, or he was kind of around, and I had paid very, very good attention to avoiding him. He he came into the house that I was at, and I was in the basement. There was nowhere I could go, and he's a very big guy. And he came down the stairs and he saw me sitting there, and he looked at the homeowner and he said, "Can I just kick him in the face?" Um, and I had seen what this guy had done to people in the past, and I a moment of my life literally passing before my eyes, uh, as I thought, what's going to happen here is this guy's about to cause me great harm, and I'm still living at home with my mom and dad, and I'm going to have to go home in whatever shape I'm in, and dad's not going to let me go until he finds out what happened, and then I'm going to become a rat to uh, a gang that I don't want to be doing that to, and I'd no longer be able to live in Saskatchewan for the most part,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
We.
that led me to a brief stint of sobriety.
Yeah. Um. So, what finally did it?
I was at Shortly after that. I was at mom and dad's house, and my uncle called me and said, "Kev, I I don't remember if it was his own or somebody in his office. He was had a shared office space. Uh, he said, "Kev, I'm coming to pick you up. I need you to come and help a friend or somebody in my office fix their computer." And because that's what I do. And so sure enough, he came and picked me up and took me into this building I'd never been in at the time. And we walked in and kind of walking down the hallway, and he opens the door, and, "Oh yeah, just right in here." And I can still picture it turning left into the office, and my whole family's there. It's intervention time.
All right. We're gonna go into the turning point. Doing all right, man?
Get there.
Right on, man. Glad you're here. Powerful stuff. So, tell us about the intervention.
Uh, Mom, dad were there. My sister, my brother, and my both my aunts and both my uncles were there. I walked in, and it turned out that my uncle shared was just give me a sec here.
Take your time, man. It's all good.
My uncle was just down the hallway at his shared office with uh, Serge Leclerc, who is the creator of Teen Challenge, and he had found out who Serge was and mentioned to him what was going on, and he said, "Well, let's figure this out," and arranged an intervention and walked in, and I sat down and I was just ready. It was time. I said, "Yeah, let's do this."
Yeah. So what did you do then? What was that moment like for you? Tell me, like, was it just a moment of profound relief, or was it fear, or what did that feel like in
Oh
that
no,
moment?
there there was no fear at all. It was
Like when
a
you walked
moment
in,
of
when you walked in and saw your whole family, were you like, a fuck?
no, not at all. I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." Like
Awesome, man. Yeah.
this is it. I had no other ideas. When you're in addiction, it's extreme. It's extremely difficult to say I need help,
Yeah.
um, and your all your family know it, but you have to be willing to accept help. And most addicts aren't. But I was ready. I knew this was the I knew this is what needed to happen, and yeah, it was like having uh, Atlas removing the world from his shoulders.
Yeah. So what happened then? You go through this experience, and did you end up in treatment, or what happened then?
I tried to get into treatment and um, through addiction services, adult health and addiction services, and uh, I went in and filled out the SASE, which is the basically a mental health evaluation, um, and with hopes to get into Calder or treatment center of some sort. And they turned me down. Apparently, I still had too much too much head on my shoulders, I guess. The only thing that qualified me for anything was the fact that I was indeed an addict, and uh, but they basically were saying that there's people out there that need it worse than you do. So I did a day program for a week at addiction services, basically going in and sitting down, excuse me, sitting down with their people, and then I did 2 weeks following that at Larson House Dryout Center for another day program where my dad would take me there in the morning, drop me off, I check in and stay there all day, and then he'd come back later and pick me up, and there'd be different activities and whatnot.
So they kept you busy then?
Oh yeah, yeah. They kept you busy, and they teach you coping strategies and whatever else, and help you in whatever way get some cultural exposure. And that was the first time I ever went to a sweat lodge, which is still to this day one of the most profound events in my life.
Yeah, I would love to go
Um,
to a sweat. I've wanted to go to one for years, but I've never had the opportunity.
I will make it happen. I joke, or I should say I joke, but that sweat that I went to, the was it the first time? I don't know if I went more than once, but the one time I went, it was after the third round, which generally is or during the third round, which is generally the hottest round, I heard a baby cry, and uh, my cousin, her daughter was born while I was in that sweat lodge.
Wow, that's
I
incredible.
think time wise, but I heard a baby cry, and it was the same day.
So, were you still craving at this point?
Um, Mental, yeah. It took a while to kick the mental side of things. Physical, I would say, uh, I had a good support system on my family or around me to help me deal with the physical. I was able to sleep um, and eat very regularly to to get back on track. Like I put on 30 pounds in 2 months, I think.
I think I put on
But
18 pounds when I was in detox for 14 days.
yeah, it feels good. Um, but I was in hard lockdown at mom and dad's house with them, uh, fielding calls for people either looking for me or whatever. Um, and you can imagine how those phone calls went with my dad, the police officer, I think retired police officer at the time, um, answering these phone calls with these other drug addicts looking for me, um, with officer dad fielding those calls, and or angry mom answering those calls, basically telling people to pound sand. Um,
Yeah.
and I had a green Adidas duffel bag because I wound up having to go from family member's house to family member's house for I can't recall, maybe a week and a bit, to because mom and dad had to work during the day, and they didn't, and of course I shouldn't be by myself, so I went
Right.
from family member to family member. I had this green duffel bag full of food because I had no problem eating,
Just in case you got
just
hungry on the
hauling,
trip.
yeah, hauling snacks around. Yeah,
Yeah. So the family really stepped up to the plate when it was time, hey?
I wouldn't expect anything other from my family.
Absolutely, man. That's amazing. So, how did you start rebuilding your life?
It turned out when I was in um, the day program at Addiction Services, I had chatted with um, a girl that was in recovery that I had hung around with in the past, and she had gotten a job at a local uh, Apple tech support call center, and she knew what I was capable of with my computer abilities, and she said that I should apply for this job, and I applied and got the job after one interview, and that was a huge turning point also because it made me feel good that I was able to get a job after I think 3 years, and and get into the routine again of working, and it was a cool job. It wound up good because it turned out that she had actually been on the same team at this job with who is now my wife. So I wound up meeting my wife Ashley at my job, and now
How
we have
long
two awesome kids.
So how long was it when you got the job? Or sorry, how long were you in sobriety before you met Ashley?
6 months, I think.
Yeah. And was that
Sounds
strange?
about right.
Was that strange for you? Like,
Um, it was nice to feel wanted, and for not for my uh, computer abilities for crimes or a hookup for drugs.
It
It
was
was
nice
nice
to
to
not
know that
be.
there was some,
It was nice to not be
it was
wanted
nice
for
to
crimes.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was nice to be wanted for something other than a utility.
yeah,
Somebody actually liked me.
yeah. So, tell us what it's like now. I mean, what are some of the highlights that you've seen over these past years in your recovery, your healing journey?
Well, it'll be 16 years on September 14th. So in 16 years, highlights are my kids. Got my 18-year-old daughter and my 4-year-old son. Um, Building a beautiful life with my wife, and just spending time with family, and not having them have to look over their shoulder or wonder, like, is he coming home?
Yeah,
But uh, work has been unreal. Traveling for work, going to Chicago, um, being able to do like road trips with my family and with my own wife and kids, and just be able to do the normal stuff
yeah. What are
and
some
not
of
have to worry.
the things that you do now to support your path, your healing journey,
Uh,
like maintenance type things?
um, just stay busy and know that, like, maintenance for me is not really, it's not too big a deal, knowing that, you just you make a mistake and it could be all over. So it's just that subconscious thought of, well, maybe I shouldn't stick my finger in this lawnmower, because that's basically what it would be, right? That's a metaphor for you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it will take you by the hand, and it will just start eating. It'll take you by the finger, and it'll just work its way up if it has to.
Does the thought
But
ever cross your mind anymore?
oh God, no,
No.
no, not at all.
Awesome.
I have thoughts. Things I think about are how's this person doing, or uh, is this person still alive? Because I think in total I've had 5 people that I hung around with in the past are dead. Um, so that's always something to think about. But I know a lot of good people uh, that I did hang around with, uh, have made it out and are living the good life, or living the best life they can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty much all that I've got for you. Let's go into the viewer's voice, and if y'all in watching tonight have some comments or questions for Kevin, please feel free to put them in the chat right now. Okay, let's have a look here. Um, oh, we've got Aaron chiming in here a little while ago. Saying, thanks for watching, Aaron. Kevin would take things apart and not be able to put them back together again, which he normally could do, which was a big red flag for me. He would pull things apart when he was on drugs.
Oh yes,
Oh, yes.
absolutely. There was a point where we had uh, we had basically taken over Dad's garage with bikes, and I don't even know how half of them got in there. I think somebody showed up at our house one time with a station wagon full of bikes.
Yeah.
God only knows where they came from, but yeah, take them apart,
Yeah.
Frankenstein them back together.
Yeah. Yeah, my thing was like um air conditioners and electric motors and insulated wires. Oh, and computers. I would take
Oh,
apart computers, and I did a whole bunch of like mad scientists trying to extract gold from computer boards and shit, and like, yeah. Do you ever do anything like that?
nope, nope. I didn't. There wasn't anything that other than bikes, that I tried to make a currency out of. A lot of people back in that day would have been cell phones. Um, People were asking me to come and put their taken apart computers apart back together for them, because they
Yeah.
had got tried to do what you did, and they couldn't get it back together. But no, for me it was bike parts. But nope, for me uh, it was mostly using my abilities to to create crime, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin's like, oh, I never took apart air conditioners. I wasn't that bad. We've
No,
got
I no.
got Mike chiming in. Thanks, Mike, for the comment. Hey, Kevin, I love you, brother. What else do we got here? I'm seeing comments here that it's hard to hear me, and I'm sorry. This is the first night with my new streaming software. I thought I had all the bugs sorted out, but apparently I've got work to do. I hope you guys can hear me well enough to get what you needed to get out of this story. I know it's mostly focused on Kevin, so at least we can all hear him good. What else do we got here? We've got Claudia chiming in. See, do you ever run into people from the past?
Yeah, absolutely. I've bumped into a couple people over the years. I'd say probably probably 80% of them are on the straight and narrow now. There's a couple that I really would like to see come out the other side, but they're just it's just not. I guess it's just not in their in their wheelhouse for priorities. Except
Yeah.
for, I mean, Dan, he's from my past, but
Yeah.
I, I find it funny. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking, uh, you guys were all afraid of my dad. You guys were all afraid of my dad, and I can think back about hearing stories about your mom and being in her profession, and
Yeah.
oh dear, we don't want to
Yeah.
go to Dan's house.
Yeah, she'll nail us to the wall. So we got Valerie chiming in here. Thanks for watching tonight, Valerie. Valerie says, very proud of you, Kevin. You are a wonderful father and a brother. And we
Thanks, Val.
have, oh, okay. I'm sorry if I mess your name up. Maybe Kevin. Kevin, do you know who that is? I don't want to say
Mern,
Mern.
Mernalyn.
Mernalyn. Thanks for watching, Mernalyn. Mernalyn says, proud of you, Kevin. Wish someone I know could hear your story and maybe learn from you. Well, maybe someday they will. This will be on YouTube forever.
Yeah, this is why we're doing this.
Yes, sir. We've got Carrie Lee. Kevin, a great support for my daughter who has OD'd and suffers from depression and anxiety. Thank you for the comment, Carrie, and thank you for watching. We have Aaron again. Things would go. Oh, she's got more war stories. All right, let's go.
Oh,
Things would go missing in my house.
big sister.
Yeah, right on. Which I figured Kevin sold to get drug money. Did you sell my camcorder, Kevin? I've always wanted to know. I hope it portrayed her voice accurately. Did you do it? He did it. Let the record show that Kevin gave the thumbs up for all of you listening in on the podcast.
I left the tapes.
Oh, well, there you go.
Hey, I don't want to sell people my memories.
Yes. Okay. Well, Kevin, my friend, this is all that we've got. tonight. I think the comments. Oh, wait. Here we go. We got one more coming in. Shailene, thank you for the comment. Thanks for watching. So proud of you, Kevin. I'm so glad I could watch this and hear your story.
Glad I
Okay.
could do this.
Well, so am I, man. I really appreciate you coming. Oh, they keep trickling in, and I have to air. I have to put this one.
If it's Aaron,
I knew it.
I was gonna say if it's Aaron, don't post it.
Too bad. You don't get to choose. Okay, Kevin, is there anything that you would like to leave us with tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just important to know that it you can always ask for help. There's always somebody out there that's willing to help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. It comes to a point where you know that life has become unmanageable, and everybody's seeking out the wrong way to make themselves feel better. But whether it's if you don't have family, then friends. You might even be able to tell somebody that you're close with in addiction that you think you need help. And there's lots of avenues out there for getting help. Whether it's I don't even know if they're even around anymore. Larson House and your typical dry outs,
They are.
Even go to a police station and punch a police officer if you have to. I mean, that'll help you sober up for a while.
This is why I have the disclaimer at the beginning of the show. Watching this show does not constitute a professional relationship with the guest. Always seek the advice of a professional before punching a police officer.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, that's a professional.
Oh, hang on a minute here.
Professional.
Yeah, I don't know if the viewers could hear me there when I wasn't on screen. I hope so. Anyways, okay. So, thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us tonight. We are going to let you go. So, take care, my friend, and be well, and we will see you again.
Thanks, Tan. It was great.
Okay. Fostering change is our primary purpose here at Hard Knox Talks. If you would like to contribute to ending the stigma around emotional pain, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Like and comment your thoughts on our posts. Let us come together with our lived and living experience as a resource that has the power to engage new thought processes, to promote new ideas, to broaden the spectrum of care, and to show the world that the lie is dead, we do recover, and we're here to show you how. Good night.